You want to close more work immediately? You want to raise your prices? The way you do that is through details, through getting rid of the uncertainty. Our clients are coming to us trying to get us to create a certain world for the future. So if you can do that, if you can demonstrate that through your value, through your proposal, through the fact that you answered your phone, through the fact that you were on time and your proposals were on time and everything you said you were going to do got done on time, there really shouldn't be a whole lot left. Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This is your host, Joshua Gillow, and Adam Linnemann is back with us this week. And we're going to dive deep into how to raise your prices and close more work immediately. I know it sounds too good to be true. We're going to dive into how we're going to be able to do that, how you can do that in this economy. And I'm excited to have Adam on. If you didn't hear our last episode last week, we focused on ensuring success with one simple shift and how to get more profits, how to unlock more profits. So if you didn't hear that, go back and listen. But Adam, welcome back.
Thanks, Josh.
So this week, we're going to jump in here. The big takeaways for the week are going to be why building value is more important than anything else. Before you ever ask for $1 from your clients, how do you do that? How do you build value before you ever ask for $1? Because that is the secret ingredient to being able to close more work at a higher profit range. Also, have you done a website audit lately? Have you looked at your website and your social media presence? Is that somebody else's project? Is it any good? Is it showing, I don't know, pieces of plastic in the backyard and hoses laid out and half a fence that's falling down in the back? And that's not the part you did, of course, but does it show that? Or are you taking your time and actually getting great photo assets for that website? And also how to set expectations that lead to more profit and trust. That's really our driving point. So Adam, welcome back.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me. So which point do you want to start off with today, I guess?
So yeah, I would love to get your insight, what your thoughts are. I know you're a business owner. You've been in a business a long time. Like if someone were to ask you, how do you raise your prices and close more work immediately? What would be some of the tips you would give them?
Okay. So I think in order to raise prices, you have to provide value, right? A perceived value. You have to provide something to the customer that they don't mind paying 5%, 10%, 15% more for the services that you offered the year before. I think it's important to raise prices, honestly, just a little bit, at least every year. I think that then the customer will expect it. And especially when we're talking maintenance services, mowing, fertilization, that type of thing, I would be raising prices yearly. Don't get stuck in a rut, not raising your prices for a year or 2 years or 3 years in a row. Raise your prices consistently a little bit. So that's one thing. But building value is so important as well. Let me explain one thing that we did that I believe that builds value in our company just a little bit, and also saves us a lot of time and headache. Back 4 or 5 years ago, we started leaving behind our fertilization customers when we aerate and overseed in the fall. We started leaving behind 1.5 pounds of grass seed in a brown paper sack. And to that bag of grass seed, we stapled a Q&A page on how to care for their lawn after we aerate and overseed it. So what did this do for us? I believe it brought us some value because the customer's having something extra left behind. It's saving us time because the customer has some grass seed that they can use to do any touch-up areas or sprinkle some grass seed down in some troublesome spots in their yard. And last but not least, it has instructions on how to maintain after we already performed the service. So they know how to water, they know what to expect, they know if they can catch their grass clippings after we aerated and overseeding or not. It's doing something extra for the customer that they have value in. And twofold, though, is that, like I said, it helps us in the long run, too, with any callbacks and issues there. So that's like one little thing that I just kind of wanted to share as something that we do at Linnemann.
That's great.
The other thing I wanted to mention, I know this sounds very, very basic, but we answer the phones. We answer the phones at Linnemann Lawn Care and Landscaping. We have Peggy in her office. She is our office mom. She answers the phone. She has great relationships with a lot of our customers. But having a friendly voice in your business to answer the phones, I think goes a long ways. I don't know what the percentage is. I know from us trying to work with contractors on doing a home remodel is that there's 6 or 7 contractors that we reached out to for different types of services, whether it be electrical, plumbing, and so on, that never return our phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Returning phone calls and answering the phone is huge. And I think it's a lost, I don't know if you want to call it a lost art, but I think it's a lost um, service that should be provided, being responsive to your clientele. That goes a long ways. And then last but not least, just turning around estimates and proposals and quotes in a timely manner. Um, I honestly get them back same day or the next day. I think 48 to 72 hours is reasonable for smaller and medium sized projects. If you're doing a $200,000 project, you might need a week or two, right? But from my company, answering the calls, getting to the customer for the estimate in a quick and timely manner, and turning around the estimate very quickly sells work.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that and appreciate that, Adam. It's when it comes to raising price and closing more work, I love how you went right back to the basics, right? Answer your phones. Don't leave the customers waiting. Don't have them sitting there for a week. They called you and like, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. All the opportunities that are lost because of that time gap, time kills all deals. So our goal is to make sure we can meet Mrs. Jones. If live is great, if not, get back to her within a day and make sure that you have a good actual message on your phone. So if Mrs. Jones calls for the company, make sure when she calls that she knows that she got to the right place, maybe not a cell phone that says, leave your number when you get a chance or something like that. It actually has a purposeful message that she's like, wow, okay, I got the right place. Cool. And then you get back to her. Hey, we're excited to talk about your project. Tell me about a little bit more about what you're thinking. Have you had a chance to take a look at our website? Do those kinds of things. Like be interested, be interesting. It's great that you have Peggy in the office to do that. Some of the guys listening don't have office staff, but it's a matter of saying, okay, well, I'm going to allocate so much time in my day to make sure I'm answering those calls coming in and to have time in the office to take care of these things. Because if you're always out in the field and you don't have the time to go in and do these things, the problem is that your front line gets beat up, and meaning that your potential clients are calling and you're not answering what they need. They're going elsewhere. As soon as that goes to voicemail, they're like, all right, well, I got 2 others I got to reach out to. So if you can answer them live, that's great. If you can't, that's okay too. Just answer within those 24 hours and get back to them. And if somebody's already found somebody to do whatever you're looking to do, then that's probably good. They were just looking for something quick anyway. You're looking for people who actually want to work directly with you. So simplest thing, back to basics, is to answer your phone. Second, like you mentioned, is get the proposals back to them. Get the designs back when you say you're going to. How do you raise your prices and close more work immediately? Being a man or woman of your word. It doesn't take much more than that. Clients are looking for trust. And if you're a man or woman out there that you say you're going to do something and you do it on that time and you do that over and over again, you keep building that trust. And trust is like a bunch of bricks, if you will. And as you stack them over and over, you build a foundation for an incredible relationship. It's when you say, yeah, I'll have something to by Friday and it's Thursday afternoon, you know darn well there's no way you're actually going to get that done by tomorrow and get it out to them. But it sounded good because that's really what they wanted to hear. And the next thing you know, Friday comes and goes and they don't get the proposal. They're like, well, you know what? That Adam guy, I don't know. He says he's gonna and he didn't. Sounds like every other contractor. So therefore your prices go down. You can't raise your price on that. And you don't close much work because they're like, all we want is someone that we can trust, that we feel like we know, that we actually might like as a person that's going to be around our house. We want to make sure that we vetted this person well and not made a bad choice. So if you can do the basics, answer the phone, if you can then be a man or woman of your word, have integrity with that, there's value. There's massive value. The customers are looking for that value. And right there's a way to raise your prices right away. You can raise price on that value. If they can be sure, if you can take the uncertainty out of the sales process, if you can take that out of the relationship and they're like, well, you know what? Every time Adam says something, he does it. If you can do that before money's ever spent, and now all of a sudden it's a $20, $50, $100,000 plus project. You're like, well, he's done it before. He's demonstrated that he can do this. He's not just telling me stuff. He's demonstrating that he is a man of integrity. Well, I need a man or a woman of integrity to handle that kind of money too, that kind of project, that kind of responsibility. So if the listeners out there, if you're thinking, well, yeah, it'd be nice if I had the time to have, to be able to pick up the phone, or if I actually had the focus to be able to do these things, because I've got 500 fires every day I'm chasing, maybe it's time to sit down and think about what are you actually doing with your time and do a time assessment. Because there should be, as an owner, there should be nothing more important than the lifeblood of your business, which is the money's coming in the front side and the deliverables going out the back. And if you don't have it coming in the front side, you're not going to have anything to do for your crews. So that has to be a number one priority. How are you serving your clients? How are you communicating? Are you a man or woman of integrity? That's the fastest two ways to get that to happen, to change your price, to raise it, is you have to add value, not just say, all right, well, I'm just going to do what I've always done. I'm going to be late on my proposals and I'm just going to add 10% to it. And you wonder why that fails.
Sure.
Clients aren't dumb. They're sophisticated. They know what they do and don't like. You're already lumped into a group of contractors in their mind. Take them by surprise. Show them what a true quote unquote contract professional, what they're like, what that experience is like, what integrity feels like to your clients.
Josh, how would you feel if you called Linnemann Lawn Care and Landscaping right now and we're looking to have, let's just say, your lawn mowed, and you got my voicemail, and my voicemail said, "Thank you for calling Linnemann Lawn Care and Landscaping. I'm a solo entrepreneur and I'm looking to grow my business and want to work for you. Please leave a message and I will call you back either between noon and 1 or 4 and 5 p.m." You
What
would
would
feel
that
good
mean for
about
me?
that. Yeah, you'd feel good about that. And if you can actually live up to that and make those phone calls and time block and get that done, you're a man of and or woman of their word, and you're going
Yep.
to grow your business. You're going to get stuff done. People are going to trust you.
Yep.
It's not what people say. It's how they make you feel, and it's important if
That's
you
right.
make them feel important.
Exactly. And to have that integrity and give them expectations, set those expectations and deliver honor above them. And if I love that message, that would be great, because if you're working in the field still and you can't be in the office all the time, which is fine, give your clients some way to take uncertainty out of your relationship. So when they leave a message, the uncertainty to them, they're thinking, great, I hope this guy or this girl calls me back at some point. If you're giving them a window, like you just mentioned, 1 to 2 or 5 to 6, whatever you mentioned, right? Having a time frame like that, all of a sudden, like, well, they actually have their stuff together. I'm excited to see if they'll follow through on this. And when you do, you automatically raise your value. Like, whoa, wait a minute here. He said 1 to 2. It is 2:50 or it's 1:15, and he just called me. This is amazing. Wow. Okay, this guy can be trusted. Cool. Then maybe we'll do business with this guy. All the other guys I left messages for, they never got back to me. They left me uncertain at the end of what the next steps were or what they could expect from me.
Because, as I mentioned, we were doing a home remodel. There was an interior designer that said that if you leave a message, I'll make sure to call you back within 24 hours. 6 days later, we finally got a phone call from that
Yep.
person.
Yep.
That's,
And
don't make false promises.
it's right. But Adam, how did you feel when that happened?
Oh,
Walk us
like
through what
we
it
weren't
felt
important.
like to receive
We
that.
weren't important. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you don't. That's a stroke of death for your client to feel that they're
Right.
not important, that they're just a number. And then you wonder why you can't raise your prices and can't close more work, because you're just like the rest of them. It's
Right.
not hard to stand out in this industry. All you need to do is be a man or woman of your word, set expectations and deliver on them. It is that stupid easy.
Right. Love it.
It is that easy. So a question for you, Adam. I'd love to know, when do you know when it's time to raise prices, and when you do know, how much do you raise them? Is there like a standard across the entire industry that we should be focusing on, or is it something that is per business?
I think prices should be re-examined on a yearly basis. I do believe that they should be raised up a little bit every year, just so the customer expects that to an extent. But ultimately,
Yep.
what it does boil down to, I think, also is time management and knowing how long it takes to do each job. So it's really important just to track that time and to know if the job that you're, let's just say, once again, back to grass cutting, lawn mowing, whatever, if it's taking you more time than what you originally had it estimated at. So it's important to track that and to look at those numbers on a at least yearly basis and make decisions on price increases based off of that, as well as if you're in landscaping, hardscaping, and so on, price increases from your vendors. That's also important.
Yep.
Keep an eye on that.
Absolutely.
And we all know through COVID that things like irrigation parts, fertilizers, I mean, that stuff was changing month to month to month.
Yep. Yep. 100%, dude. Yeah. And you got to keep your thumb on that. If you see costs rising, then you better be following with that. But figure each year that you're going to see increases in costs. I don't know of a world where we live in where the price goes down. I mean, especially in the last 5+ years, the price
Right.
is only going up, which is unfortunate. But the reality is our dollars don't buy as much as they did just 5 years ago after all the printing these crazy guys did. So with that being the case, we're never going to go back to it being cheaper. It'll always cost more. And if we're not tracking with that, we're setting a price in the beginning of the year and we're not tracking with its change potentially over the year. We could be working for free halfway through the year and not even know it. Be very careful with that. Make sure if anybody out there, if you're getting close to $1 million or $1 million plus, you should have a dedicated CFO. And I don't mean somebody that's going to be in your, up in your business that you're going to pay 6 figures a year. I mean, you can get fractional CFOs or CFOs that actually work, basically third party for you. And they'll watch the books and they'll be seeing all these things that their only job is to make sure you're profitable. And if you're not, they can show you places that you can get around that. And so you can actually become profitable, and they're going to see the numbers in a way that you never saw them before. I know we hired, a CFO years ago, and it has made all the difference, right? It has made all the difference to have that insight and be like, hey, how are we doing? All right, everything is good here, but you need to increase this here, increase that there. Your cost of materials went up, so we need to make sure we change this, or the cost of labor went down, whatever it might be. Like, here's how we adjust. Somebody's eye is always on that ball so that you can go out and do what you do best. Maybe it's the install side, maybe it's the sales side, maybe it's the design side, maybe it's all of those things. But to hand those responsibilities off to someone whose only job is to make sure you stay profitable and who's going to add insight from other companies they work with is paramount in how you're going to grow past that $1 million mark. But that's not really the subject we're on today, but I just thought we'd finish that up there. So to raise prices and close more work immediately, we've already talked about the basics, right? Answer your phone. It sounds so basic, but it's so true. Be a man or woman of your word. Have integrity. Set expectations. Deliver on them. It doesn't take much to step up in this industry. Now, the next is, what do you look like to the outside researching client? Most clients are going to do some research. That's probably how they find you during that research phase. When they go to your website, when they go to your social media, like I mentioned earlier, are you just kind of shooting off the hip a couple of pictures and, you've got just junky furniture in the pictures. You've got things breaking, falling down. Half the patio is wet, half it's not. They've got those blow away plastic Sam's Club chairs on the patio. Like, what does it look like? How much time is it in the middle of the day when you've got the sun blaring and then you're trying to put it into Photoshop to make it look even better? It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let's slow this down. It's
Sure.
important right now to get more now than ever to make sure that the imagery that's representing your company is on point. And if you're doing projects that are $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, you don't have to worry so much about this. But if you want to get into the 6-figure projects, the high fives and 6-figure projects, these details matter. When they go to your website and they see awesome furniture, Pottery Barn furniture in your spaces, they start to see nice designer stuff in those spaces. They start thinking, well, that's really what I want. Every other site I looked at was just full of garden hoses and white blowaway chairs, right? Or they know, guys, listeners out there, they know when you have stock photography. They know they've seen that same exact image on 5 other websites. They know it, right? And I know how it is to start out. And sometimes you got to do those things to start out. But as soon as you can get a professional photographer out and start staging your projects and start showing the world what those projects could be, you're not trying to be in any way manipulative. You're simply trying to say, look how good this could possibly be. And to show them that nice furniture and to make a connection with a furniture company local to you that'll let you borrow things for photo shoots. And then all your clients go to them to buy the furniture. You can make deals that way. So you can borrow stuff for a day to do a photo shoot, pay a couple $100, couple $1,000 for a photographer to come out and get some good stuff. Because that project, those pictures sell the next project. And if you want good solid leads, you have to have good solid pictures and good solid social media and good solid everything. You can't wing that part and expect a 6-figure project to land in your lap. So it's taking those details. How do you raise your prices? Show that you're worth more visually. Give them an emotional support with that. Clear up the uncertainty. Create certainty in an uncertain world. That's how you make money. That's how you get the value to the floor. What do you think, Adam?
Josh, all great advice, and I 100% agree. A good photographer that costs hundreds or a couple $1,000s to come out and stage projects is huge, especially for the designer that is doing these pools and outdoor living spaces. But if you're a smaller company and if you don't want to spend that kind of money, something that actually goes a long ways too is something just like and we've all probably seen them on social media advertised, but there's like iPhone training classes on how to use your iPhone camera the right way. $100. You can go through
Yep.
online courses, learn how to do that. An iPhone camera is actually pretty darn good these days and can take some good shots, and just know how to grab the photos and certain angles and whatnot. I'm no photographer by any means, but playing around with that and just doing a little bit of learning can help the contractor that is trying to sell the $10,000, $20,000 projects. They can do a lot of good with that.
They can.
Um, the website is so important, in updating the website. I can't tell you how many times I start working with landscape contractors and they have a Facebook page and they haven't posted in 2 years on Facebook.
Yep.
Regularly having content is important, even if it's just monthly, right? But to say that you haven't done anything on social media in 2 years should be embarrassing, and you shouldn't be running a business, in my opinion. Or it tells me that you don't want to grow your business. And then last but not least, I'm told, and I believe it, video is huge. Educational videos is huge. Doing selfie videos or showing videos of why it's important to aerate a lawn, or why it's important not to do tree volcanoes when you put mulch around a tree, why it's important to have base underneath patios to prevent settling and so on. Things like that can easily be 30 to a minute and a half long videos, and can go a long way in educating. And when you educate your clients, you typically get better clients and clients that want to spend money with you and value you more.
100%, dude. 100%. I can't tell you how many clients come into our design manage practice and say, I've watched all your YouTube stuff and we're ready to go.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm like, okay. So it's not a cold lead now. This isn't some Facebook, person that said, yeah, that's eating Cheetos, on the chair saying, oh, I see that. I like that ad. I'm going to hire them. Like that's not what it is. Like they've already done the research. They've gone through this phase of the buying cycle, and they're like, well, all right. They seem like people we could work with. Everything they're talking about, I like. So what do you think, listeners, what do you think the probability of them putting you higher on the list of people they want to consider for the project is, when they know they kind of already done some recon on you? They already kind of like what they're seeing. They like what they see on the website. Everything is lining up. You say, hey, we're going to talk Tuesday at 2:00. You show up at Tuesday at 2:00 and have a conversation. Like all this stuff happens. You just keep building that trust, that foundation of trust brick by brick. And it starts well before they even talk to you. And then it goes directly through into your sales process and exactly how they feel as you move through. Are you listening more? Or are you talking at them the entire time? Which is it? Are you the guy that comes in, or the girl that comes in with a Techo Block catalog and just drops it on the desk and say, pick one? Or are you having a conversation to figure out what is the very best way to solve their problem, not sell them something? That's huge.
It is huge.
You talk about how to raise prices. That right there is a way to raise prices, is by stopping trying to sell people things and start trying to help them, serve them. You start with that focus with them from that first phone call on, changes the game. Now you become a much more valuable person to them. And therefore you can raise price. But if you're like everybody else, like, what do you want? I want a 10 by 20 patio. Gotcha. I'll get you a quote Friday. You don't get them the quote on Friday. You get it to them on Wednesday of the next week when you want to, and you send it over to them. The other two people that are bidding the project that are doing the same things, now you're giving that client no choice but to look at your bid and the other two and be like, all right, I can only compare numbers because all of them were about the same caliber of people. They were contractors. And guys, the only way we break out of this mindset and we break out of this reality that people have about contractors is because you don't have that with your doctor. I've said this before, but I'll say it 1,000 times. You don't have that problem with your doctor. You don't go into your doctor and be like, doc, hey, you know what? My leg, it hurts like hell. Like, what do you got for budget solution here? Like, just take a bottle of whiskey. You know what I mean? Like that's not what they're going to be like. No, you need this to be done, and you trust what they say, and it costs what it costs. Same thing with your lawyer. You're not gonna be like, hey, how can you get me out of this pinch, and not have to lose my home because of some dumb thing I did? Well, what are you going to say? Give me the budget option? No, they're going to be like, hey, how do we fix this and do it well? And you're going to pay whatever the hell he or she says, right? That's the reality. Why are we as contractors thinking that we don't matter? Why? We do amazing stuff.
Right.
We build amazing spaces for people. We help them. We enhance their lives, just like a doctor, just like a lawyer, but in a different way. So why do we constantly think about if we're even worth it or not even worth the price that we're asking, or okay with just doing just enough.
I think a professional landscaping design build company is one that that likes to learn, that likes to be educated, that likes to go to trade shows, that likes to take advice and learn from other professionals. Really, professionals should not be taking advice from amateurs, right? Someone that's going to be running a marathon should not be taking advice from a couch potato, right?
Yep.
If you have a problem with your heart, you go to a heart doctor. You don't go to your general practitioner. I think it's important to build up your knowledge as a professional landscaper and portray that and show that to your clientele so they know that you're going to provide the value and you know what you're talking about and you're ultimately going to be the best option for them.
100%. And the way you do this, Adam, here's the secret to all of this. Listeners, get your pen and pencil out, your pen and paper out. It's about asking great questions. It's not about being the one that's the smartest in the room. I made that mistake so many times when I was younger. I would read books left and right, like all about base preparation and all of that with pavers and exactly what the Latin name for all the plants are. So I could get them excited about this. Like, wow, this guy really knows his plants. I grew up in a garden center. I knew more plant names than I knew people names because that was the business, right? I knew them in Latin. I knew them in English. I knew all of that. So I thought I would dazzle them with my knowledge of all this stuff. And the problem was that I was losing them, because they didn't really care about all that stuff. I was trying to put on a show for them, and they didn't want a show. They wanted a solution, someone who actually could solve their problem and do it in an amazing way, right? So when I made that shift and I said, instead of me talking so much, instead of 80% of the sound coming out of my mouth, what if 80% of the sound was coming out of their mouth? How much more could I learn?
Right.
That was a huge shift for me. I'm like, wait a minute here, then what do I do if I'm not talking? I'm listening, right? It took a couple of years to make that flip, but I'm like, all right, what if the smartest person in the room, or the person that can help the client, that's a better way to frame it, that can help the client the most, is the one who talks the least and asks the best questions? How does that change the game? Instead of me assuming I know what they want, they said they want a new front landscape, so I know exactly what that means. I do the same thing every single time, versus asking them questions like, hey, what would the ideal front landscape look like for you? What kind of flowers? What color? How often would they bloom? Is having something in the winter even important to you? How about light? Have you ever thought about what the space looks like when it's dark in those winter months? Like asking questions and getting their information instead of assuming everybody wants exactly what you've always done.
Right. And I
talk
like
about
I
how
said,
you change things.
Being flexible is also, I think, important as a contractor too. You know, maybe the customer doesn't have in the budget to do the $50,000 project now, but they have 25,000. So maybe it can be done in phases, so just having that conversation and letting them know that you want to work for them. And also, this is something else too. We could, I'm sure, talk on a lot, but follow up, please, please, please follow up. Don't just email the estimate and never call the customer back. We have a follow-up sales process that every Wednesday we get a report ran for us and we follow up. Did you get the estimate? Do you have any questions? That's how we handle things. We send the estimate out. We send it out through our portal in our software. Then I send an email as a follow-up immediately afterwards. Hey, just want to make sure you got the estimate. It came through our portal. If you have any questions, let me know. Happy to meet again if you need any adjustments. Once again, I'm being flexible with that. And then we follow up. We follow up a week later, up to a week later, every Wednesday. We run that report and we do follow-ups. It's huge. You want to let the customer know that you want to work for them.
100%. I'm just going to dovetail off of that with another one. When you follow up, guys and gals out there, remember, not everybody reads email. Not everybody likes phone calls. Not everybody likes text messages. Like if you're sending only emails out and they're going to a spam folder, there's no way you would know that.
Sure.
So my high suggestion for anyone listening is to make sure you have 2, if not 3 different ports of entry into their life. Email, text. Hey, I just emailed you. So if you email them over, Mrs. Jones, you say, hey, Mrs. Jones, just shooting her your text quick. I just emailed you the proposal. Please confirm you got it. Because she may never check her email. Yeah, I've seen people that have, if you look at their phones, they have that number on it, like how many missed messages they haven't looked at, like, or no email notifications. It's in the thousands.
Oh
That
yeah.
drives me crazy. But that's not my thing. But I see it. I'm like, how many messages have they missed? Like mine could be in there.
Right. I forgot what the percentage is, but I think like an open rate on email marketing campaigns is I don't know 20% if you're lucky. When we're talking marketing,
Yeah.
email texting campaigns, we don't text market, but is like so much higher. It's like 80%. So
Yep. Text is definitely more accessible.
right,
People will react much faster to it. So even if it's a follow up, it's a big part of all of this is making sure you do it. Plus, last piece here before we break off, when you're sending your proposals over, first of all, make sure you have at least 2 or 3 points of contact before and during the sending of all of that, and make sure you have confirmation that they got it or that they know it's coming. Second part is, how detailed is your proposal? Honestly, how detailed is your proposal? Are you the kind of guy that's so busy that you put out for the patio? Yeah, 10 by 15 patio, blah, blah, blah paver. And we're going to put this border on it. And you send that as your proposal, very basic, plain Jane, like patio and 3 or 4 bullet points. Or are you the one that actually gets into high detail and demonstrates your ability to show value here, what the base is going to look like, how you're going to get in, how you're going to get out, if the lawn's cleaned up or not, if it's a homeowner responsibility, where does the dirt go? Like all these kinds of details, like deep details for the client to get a sense of, wow, they thought everything through here and they have it all detailed. So when they sign that contract with you, they know what they're getting. You're setting an expectation. If there's something in there that they don't like, well, let's talk about it before we're building, right? If you want to keep the dirt on site, you don't want to pay to take it off. Well, let's talk about what it takes to get it to the other side of the property for your garden, because that might be something that destroys the lawn in the process. So we have to fix that too. Or do you want to fix that? Like these are the details that make the difference. You want to close more work immediately. You want to raise your prices. The way you do that is through details, through getting rid of the uncertainty. Our clients are coming to us trying to get us to create a certain world for the future, a certain certainty around something that they can't figure out how to do themselves or don't want to do themselves. So they want the most certain person that's going to be the one they're going to choose, most likely. Sometimes it's price, but a lot of times it's the most certain one. How can you guarantee me success and a limited amount of friction in the process? So if you can do that, if you can demonstrate that through your value, through your proposal, through the fact that you answered your phone, through the fact that you were on time and your proposals were on time and everything you said you were going to do got done on time, there really shouldn't be a whole lot left. When they're making a decision, do you think, Adam, that has any impact on who they decide? Do you think it's just a numbers game? Or do you think, you know what, that Adam guy, he came out, he did everything on time. He gave us exactly more than we even thought we needed. He solved our problem better than anybody else. And he listened well, asked these incredible questions, and it probed into areas that we didn't even know about that could work with this project. We did expand it a little bit more. His price is higher than everybody else's, but no, we're going to go with the other two guys that said, what do you want?
right.
And you got a budget of $20,000. This is $19,995. What do you think? Like, do you think there's any value in that from the customer, for the customer?
Not at all. And on our medium and bigger projects, we're presenting it in person. Oftentimes in a folder, our proposals, they have terms and conditions on there as far as like our protocols, our payment expectations and so on. But the two things I want to mention that we also include in there is a certificate of insurance. So the customer knows that we're an insured company, and it also includes the watering and warranty instructions with our plant materials and so on. So we're offering them a packet, and they're seeing value there as well.
Yep, 100%. And that's done as part of the sales process. This has to be part of that. And if you're missing out, if you're a listener out there saying, man, I want to change this, but I'm a one-man band, or I got a small crew and it's really, really tough for me to do all these nice things. Once you lay out a sales process and do the background work, the creating of the documents and all that kind of stuff, it's just rinse and repeat. You just do the same thing over and over again. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. You just keep doing, so you don't have to think anymore. You can go back to doing whatever you want to do, or think about fishing or whatever you want to do. You just know that every process, every project coming through, every client goes through step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and you just keep doing that. It's so much simpler than trying to wing it every single time. But anyway, I digress. So Adam, today we had the opportunity to bust through some of these ideas and try to get people understanding, the listeners understanding how to raise prices and close more work immediately. It's in the things you do behind the scenes. It's in the things that you do internally. The integrity part, being a man or woman of your word. It's answering that phone. It's building value ahead of time before you ever ask for a dollar. Those are the things that change the game. And the cool part is this works in any economy, right? Because right now, a lot of guys really want more work and they want more projects, and things are tight for some of the guys out there and some of the women out there that are running companies. So if you want to change that, you have to change. That's just what it is. You can't complain about what doesn't work and hope like heck it'll work one day. So focusing on that. So that's how, by building more value before you ever ask for a dollar. Also, what does your social media look like? What does your website look like? How often do you post in those places? Do they get a chance? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you stage your projects? Like, these kinds of things are basic things you should be thinking about as an outdoor living company. And then also, how do you set those expectations? So we taught you how to set expectations with clients when it comes to answering the phone and getting the proposals out to them, and setting expectations through, like you said, with your packet, where you're putting your insurance in there. You're leading with that stuff. You're showing them how to manage the project afterwards. So they're not like, oh, I'm going to spend $50,000 on this project and I don't know what I'm in for it next. I don't want to add 10 hours more to my life to now manage what Adam just installed. Like, oh, look, here's how you order it. Well, that's easy to do. I'm going to go with him because his process is easy and I can't mess it up. It's right here for me. That's the value, listeners. That's the value. So, Adam, you've been with me now 4 weeks as we've been rolling through a bunch of different topics. If you guys haven't listened to Adam, what we've talked about so far, we started off with, how to quit living paycheck to paycheck and hit 7 figures. We did that a couple of weeks ago. Then we went into how you'll never hit $1 million in sales if you don't follow this one simple rule. Followed up by last week's episode of Profit Unlocked, ensuring success in one simple shift. So guys, if you haven't listened to them, go back and listen to them. There's tons of great value in here. Adam, thank you for coming on and sharing your insight. I love what you're doing with Profit First in our industry and helping our different business brothers and sisters out there put profit as a priority before they ever go and chase after more projects. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about the kind of work that you do and how you can help our industry in that Profit First model.
Sure. So, as an industry consultant, I'm a certified Profit First professional. We help others implement the Profit First methodology, as well as do green industry bookkeeping services and software implementation. So, always happy to have a conversation and help out anybody that may need some help. Whether you're a business doing $100,000 in revenue or a business doing $3 million in revenue, always up for a free phone call and to have a conversation.
Awesome. And what's the best way for them to reach out to you, Adam?
Sure. Our website, thegreenexecutive.com, or you can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, all the social media platforms, but just look up The Green Executive.
Awesome. Well, Adam, it's been a pleasure to talk with you last few weeks. And listeners, I hope you got a lot from this conversation. I know that some stuff might be easy to hear and some stuff might not be. And, running a business isn't supposed to be easy. It's a challenge. Every single day we're challenged with new things. And as soon as we think we understand it all, the rules change, the economy changes, our clients' requests change, everything changes constantly. So if there's one thing I've learned in business is that the only constant is change. And we have to be changing faster than it, or we're going to be left behind. So thank you for listening. And I hope you get as much from these episodes as I do, because each time that I get to interview somebody like Adam, I get to learn too. So appreciate you guys, and we'll chat next week.